everyone, it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my list of my top all-time favorite audiobooks. You guys likely know by now that I love audiobooks, okay? Like, I am obsessed with them. I feel like Oprah in that commercial where she's like, I love bread. I love bread. That's literally me with audiobooks. I would say that audiobooks are the primary way that I have been consuming stories for maybe the past 4 years, but especially in the last 2 years, I have been listening to audiobooks non-stop because I realized that for my brain, they are the perfect way to consume these books that I otherwise maybe wouldn't have had time to read. I know there's always discussion and debate about whether audiobooks count as reading, and I am just here to say that they absolutely do. It is a completely valid form of reading, like storytelling in its historical format. A lot of it was oratory. It is a form of reading. It's a form of consuming stories. It is completely valid and it is amazing, honestly. Thanks to audiobooks, I have been able to read over 120 books the past 2 years, and I wouldn't have even come close to that if I hadn't been listening to audiobooks so much. I was someone in the past who felt guilty about it, but once I realized that there's literally nothing to feel guilty about and it's just another way to read, it opened up literally entire new worlds to me, and I just highly recommend it. I am so excited that today's video is actually sponsored by Spotify because audiobooks are going to be more accessible to people than ever because Spotify is launching audiobooks on premium. They're launching with a catalog of over 250,000 titles available on premium for master account holders, which is so insane. Like, that is so many different books that you can listen to. If you have been thinking about audiobooks but were maybe a little bit hesitant, there is nothing to stop you now. This is the perfect time to try them. All the books that I'm going to share with you today are books that are going to be available as part of that catalog, so don't worry, you can definitely listen to them. I highly recommend that you check this out. This is such an amazing feature. I love seeing more accessibility of different forms of reading that work for different people. It is just so amazing. Everyone is so busy nowadays. We lead busy lives, don't have a lot of time, and the amazing thing about audiobooks is that they allow you to keep up with those reading goals that you might have for the new year, but also do other things at the same time. Like, I pretty much am listening to an audiobook whenever I'm doing anything. Playing with the dogs, feeding the dogs, walking the dogs, and doing stuff for myself. But my point is, it's a great time to give audiobooks a try. So definitely check out audiobooks on Spotify, and thank you so much to Spotify for partnering with me today and supporting my channel. The first listen that I wanted to talk about today is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This was such a fantastic book, and it actually was adapted into a TV show. I haven't watched the TV show yet, but I will be soon. But I was completely blown away by the book. It wasn't what I was expecting, but in the best way possible. And I felt like the audiobook did a fantastic job of really bringing the story to life. In this book, you're following a young woman in the 1950s or 60s, and she is trying to be a chemist, but it's at a time where she's not respected because she's a woman, and she's just having a really hard time because of that, but she is not taking any of it. So she ends up getting this TV show where she is showing how to cook, but using chemistry. So it's a more intellectual way, and it's showing women what more they can be and encouraging them to think about different things. It is just such an amazing story. Like, Elizabeth Zott will truly find her way into your heart, and you won't soon forget it. She was such a memorable character, and all the perspectives that this story had made it perfect for the audiobook format. It has a bunch of weird and different perspectives that you wouldn't expect, but it is so well done. Next is actually a pretty recent read or listen for me, which is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. You've probably seen this book around because it was quite popular for a while, and I was definitely late to the party. It took me a while to get on the train, but I'm very glad that I did because when I finally listened to it, I enjoyed it so much. This is another book that really lends itself well to that audio format because it is told in diary entries or journal entries from Emily Wilde. And it's exactly what it sounds like. She is researching fairies where they're not really known about, but people kind of know that they exist. It's a very interesting dynamic there. But this was such a fantastic adult fantasy, and the audiobook narration truly brought it to life. I had so much fun with it. It brought the world to life and really made me feel for the characters. It was just so fantastic, so definitely one to check out. Next is The Happy Place by Emily Henry. Emily Henry, I'm sure you have heard of her. She is such a fantastic writer, and audiobooks for romance books, it's something that I didn't think I would like, but I really did. I was kind of nervous about, more spicy scenes being read to me, but I still really enjoy it. Now, Emily Henry books aren't the spiciest, but you do still get a little bit of that in there, and the audiobooks always bring these characters to life. I feel like that's the main thing about audiobooks for me. They really make the characters feel more real. Happy Place is another situation where there are quite a few characters, and you actually have a second chance romance sort of situation where this couple, they are going on vacation with their college friends as they've done every single year, but this year is different because they're pretending to still be together while they're actually not. So it's kind of a lot going on, but you get to see them like go through their memories and everything, work out a lot of the dynamics in their friend group and also the dynamics with their relationship. And it is just really great. Emily Henry just does a great job with everything, honestly. And the audiobooks are just as good as the physical books. Next is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Once again, I'm sure that you have heard of Taylor Jenkins Reid. She is the author of Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, most popularly, I would say, among other books, but Daisy Jones is the perfect book for an audiobook. I actually listened to this one the first time that I ever read it and then listened to it immediately again, and I have no desire to read the physical book, honestly, because I think the audiobook is the perfect thing for it. It's a full cast audiobook, and it is told, it's about like in the 60s, 70s, following a band, and you are getting the perspective of all of these different characters, all the different band members, and it's like a documentary sort of format. So it's told in an interview, and the actual book, like it has the character's name and then what they said, like it's told in that format. So having that in audio, it blew my mind. Like, it was one of those books that completely, listening to it, I was sucked into it, and like when I hit pause, I was like jolted back to reality where I was like, wait, this isn't a real band. It just made it feel so incredibly real, and it was fantastic. Next is Sadie by Courtney Summers. This is a YA mystery story, but the thing that makes it perfect for an audiobook is that it's told partially from a podcast. So you have a true crime podcaster who's trying to figure out what happened to Sadie. And Sadie, she has been trying to uncover the mystery of what happened to her sister. So you're getting kind of bits and pieces that you're piecing together in this audiobook. It's a great one to read if you like true crime, or you're just kind of in the mood for something a little bit spooky or eerie that's gonna make you think, like that sort of thriller thing. It's fantastic for that, and it's definitely my favorite Courtney Summers read. Next is another spooky read, and that is The Diviners by Libba Bray. The Diviners series is a series of huge books, okay? They are all huge, and I'm not generally someone who likes to read huge books. I get very intimidated by it, and I just prefer something that's going to go by quickly. But if you also have that issue, audiobooks are perfect because you're not like looking at the page numbers. It just flies by. Like, you will be shocked by how much you're able to read. This is a series that is set in the 1920s, and it is definitely spooky. It deals with ghosts and prohibition and like magic things. There is a lot going on in it, and you have quite a few characters once again, but oh my goodness, will you just fall in love with all of them, and you will be trying to figure out what is going to happen. You're going to be rooting for all of them and wanting them all to be safe. it's just so much. But the accents that the narrators use, it really brings you to like 1920s New York. It totally brings it to life, and it is perfect. Next up is Iron Widow by Xiran J. Zhao. This was a story that was totally brought to life by the audio format. It's really cool and intense because you have like quite a few fighting sort of scenes, and I feel like they were just so lifelike with the audio narration. This is set in a world where you have a really interesting dynamic between men and women, where essentially there are these machines and the women almost have to act as like a sacrifice for the men, and they don't get like any recognition for that. They are kind of fighter pilot sort of things. It's definitely one where you have a lot of combat, a lot of that sort of thing, and I just found it totally like brought me into it when I was listening to the audiobook. I loved this book way more than I was even expecting to. And the final audiobook that I wanted to recommend today is The Daydreams by Laura Hankin. I got into a phase last year where I would always go for my bike ride and have an audiobook, and I'd have one headphone in so then I could still hear any traffic or anything, but most of the time my bike ride was on a trail anyways. But I just loved listening to these audiobooks while I was biking around, and I just have a distinct memory of listening to The Daydreams while I was biking last summer. It was a story that I was not expecting to enjoy as much as I did. I hadn't really heard anything about it, but it was so cool. So it is a reimagining kind of Disney or Nickelodeon teens from the 2000s, but now it's like 10 years later and you're finding out where they are now. They're having this reunion, and you're finding out also everything that happened to them in the past, and that this like rosy kind of viewpoint that you had and facade that they were really putting on, it's not as accurate as the media would make it seem. So it's exposing a lot of that, and it was so cool following all these different characters, getting all these different perspectives, and having it all come to life in the audiobook. It was really easy for me to just get sucked into it completely. So those are all of the audiobooks that I wanted to recommend to you guys today. Once again, these are all going to be available as part of the Spotify Premium Audiobooks catalog, so definitely check it out. I am just so thrilled that they are having audiobooks on Spotify like so easily accessible. I think it is going to be so great for so many people, including myself. I am very excited. And thank you once again so much to Spotify for sponsoring today's video and supporting my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to check out audiobooks on Spotify Premium, and I will see you guys in another new video very soon. Bye!